What's up, YouTube? So, uh, one feature that I've been trying to do consistently is sort of chart stocks that all belong to a particular group, right? And I'd sort of charted uh, four stocks from the HDFC group, which are part of my portfolio. And so the next obvious choice was definitely the Tata Group, right? So they are uh, maybe one of, if not the most recognizable name, they're right up there with groups that Indian consumers have the most trust in. And Ratan Tata has this image of being a very pro common man, pro employee sort of CEO, and that sort of filters down to how good the companies and stocks have been performing over the years, right? And especially over the past few weeks, let's say, there's been a lot of apprehension in the market due to Ukraine and Russia going at each other. And, I had this conversation with a friend, which was if there's trouble going down in UK, why do people in India want to sell HDFC Life and Tata Motors, right? And so short term sentiment drives short term price movements, but fundamentals drive wealth creation in the long term. And that's how I've always looked at my investment journey. And so all these are stocks which with good fundamentals. And feel free to go to ticker tape, or let's say screener, and look at the financials of these stocks. And these are good stocks to have in your portfolio, in my opinion. But again, this isn't buying advice, and this is just me sort of looking at what the charts say, right? So let's dive straight into it. And we're looking at the weekly for Tata Motors right now, and you can probably see, right? So this is range. This has been range bound for a bit. So let me just drop this level, this horizontal level on the chart as well, and you can see prices interacted with this level of 512 for quite a bit. So we've sort of traded in this range of 440 to 512 to 530, 540 roughly for quite a while. So since October of 2021, we've been sort of range bound. And if we want to look at why price hasn't been able to break above these price levels, let's sort of zoom out. And you can see that there's this confluence of resistance, right? So this level right here, 530 was support in the past, was resistance in the past, and price is just interacting with this area of value and getting rejected. And if you look at it, there's a couple of long range trend lines as well, which have been actually active since 2008, right? So this is the sort of range that's there in the market. Traders and market movers actually look at price movements over much larger periods of time than we can imagine. So when we're trading looking at the 1 hour chart or 4 hour chart, the price movements that we try and make profit off is just noise on the charts of these market movers, right? So I've been trying to sort of look at larger time frames and sort of trying to think along those lines. And if you look at it, there's one long range trend line here, which has been active since 2006, acted as resistance multiple times in the past, and then we flipped it as support here with this huge rally in 2014. And then we've come back, tested it as support a couple of times here, once, twice, thrice, and then we broke below it. Then COVID happened, and then we came back right up to the trend line, and we got rejected. So a trend line that's actually been active in the market for almost 16 years is still acting as an area of value. And that, to me, this is sort of why I love technical analysis so much, right? So there's a beauty to it. There's a beauty in numbers and a beauty in data that not a lot of people appreciate. And the same thing here. This trend line has been active since 2008. Was support here, support here, support here, support here, and then we flipped it as a resistance. So areas of value are the own, are sort of like a prerequisite for people to be opening trades. A lot of people just see a bullish hammer on a short time frame, let's say on the daily or the 4 hourly, and they'll assume that this is like the perfect entry trigger. But an entry trigger always has to be at an area of value, and this is something that I sort of try and stress in all my charts. And let's just drop the EMAs onto the chart as well. Let's see if it gives us any further directional data. So I'm just dropping these four EMAs, which are the 8, 13, 21, and 55 weekly EMAs. And yep, so this gives us further data. So right now, price is sort of testing the 21 EMA, which was a good entry point here. If you look at it, was a good entry point. Where else did we test it? Sort of tested it here, but we broke below it, and then we broke above it and went on this rally. So if you get confirmation here, this area of value coupled with the 21 acting as support, and if we're able to, from an investment perspective, this could be a good price to enter. But if you're opening trades, I would recommend waiting for it to break above these, this confluence of resistance, right? And yep, so it's a good stock to hold fundamentally from a long-term point of view. But if you're opening trades, please wait for confirmation, and please wait for break of resistance. Yep, so that's it with Tata Motors. Moving on to Tata Power. And you can sort of see Tata Power has been on this insane rally. So I entered the stock roundabout when it was at like 100. Then it went up all the way to, let's look here, it went up all the way to 269. That's like insane returns. And then we sort of came back and tested 200. Yeah, so 200 again is a psychological support. So we tested it. A lot of people bought in there, and then we went back up. So we've been sort of range bound for the past, let's say, few months. So let me close this. I don't want premium. I get all the info I need here, right here. So, yep. So we've been range bound for the past few months, and there's a range of 205 to 250, right, is sort of where we've been trading. So from an investment point of view, so right here we've tested the 21 EMA and people have bought in. So a daily candle close, bullish candle close here could be a good place to invest. Or if the Ukraine news, or there are other negative cues in the market, you might get a couple of juicy entries. So it could come back and test 200, or this trend line which has been active since 2020, right? So this was resistance multiple times, but we haven't back tested it as support. So it could happen at some point. So maybe here, price comes and hits the trend line here, and coupled with the horizontal support, could be a good place to be entering the stock. Again, not buying advice. This is just, purely educational, just looking at the charts. And yep, moving on to Tata ALXSI. And this is a stock I regret not buying. A lot of friends recommended it to me. Let me just remove the EMAs. So a lot of friends were telling me to buy into the stock at right about this level, I guess. Yeah. Sorry. No, thank you. I'm not going to buy, no matter how much you guys try to sell it to me. So let me just drop this horizontal level onto the chart. Just 1 second. I'm just looking for the line with maximum touches, Okay, cool. So getting like one bullish hammer right here. Cool. Area value 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 touches is enough for me to see. And we're trading in this long-term channel, right, which has been active since December of 2020. And we've tested it once, twice, thrice, 4, 5, 6 times as support. Good enough for me. And then there's the secondary trend line that we're tracking. Resistance here, support here, resistance here, and support here. So our latest weekly candle tested this trend line, and then we closed above it, which is a positive sign. But are we trading above? Okay, there's a horizontal level here too. Additional info for us. Nice. There's a horizontal area value here, which was resistance, which we've backtested as support, which is a bullish sign. So there's one trade to be taken right here. So let's assume you get a bullish candle on the daily or the 4-hourly here. You open your trade and then you sell when it touches this, right? So this is one trade. It could work out, and then you set your stop loss like right below. So or you limit your loss. Or if you're investing, you could average out your buys here if the Nifty crashes again. Or let's look if there's another area of value we could track. This looks like something that traders might be interested in. Okay. So if you're investors and you're looking to average your positions on a fundamentally good stock, these prices that I've marked right here could be. I don't see it coming down to these levels, but it's the market. You can never say. Another war might break out somewhere, and Indian traders will lose their shit. Yep. And let me drop the EMAs onto the chart as well. Let's see if it gives us some insight. Same 4M EMA Filicon. I use that indicator all the time. And yep, so we're testing 13 EMA, which is now holding a support. And historically, has it been a good entry point? Here it was, here it was. It broke below it, but then we closed above it again, went on this rally, came back, and we're testing it. So historically, the EMAs have been a good place to enter, but again, always wait for confirmation. Smaller time frames, confirmation candles, and only then are you good to go. Cool. Moving on to Tata Communication. So I I took the most speculative of speculative bets on this stock. I bought exactly one one stock of Tata Communication because I didn't want to miss out on it if it went on an insane pump and did 10x or something. I made like what 300 $400 maximum, I guess. But it's a good stock. It's the Tata Group, right? But one area of concern right here is that it's lost the 55 EMA. And I know we've bottomed out at this trend line and this horizontal support. Let me remove the EMAs just for a little bit more clarity. So there's this horizontal support right here, which you've tested once, twice, thrice, and then we're testing it again, and it's held as support for now. But because it's now trading below the 55 EMA, I'd be a little cautious entering this. So maybe we either wait for buying volume or a sign of reversal of market structure, right? So higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, not a higher high, not a lower low, higher high. We've come back and then we're sort of trading in this range again. So we're trading right now of in a range of 1588 to 1200, and you could either just trade the range or keep averaging whenever it touches any of these supports. But the first order of action would be for it to reclaim the EMAs as support. So as long as this trend line holds, we're good. But if it breaks below, I'd be a little cautious. Traders should probably wait for very clear confirmation that there's a reversal in market structure. So it either has to break above the EMAs, or break above it, come back, test one of these lines of support, and then go on its journey upwards. Cool. That's it for Tata Communication. Let's move on to the next stock. Tata Chemicals looks pretty straightforward. So there's this triangle pattern forming right now. And this is a long-term support, which was resistance here roughly. And then we've backtested it as support once, twice, thrice, 4 times. And yep, so this confluence of horizontal support and this trend line means that prices stayed above this level. And if we get confirmation on the daily or the 4 hourly when markets open on Monday or sometime next week, this could be a good place to enter. And next order of action would be to break this resistance, come back and retest it or retest this area of value of 967. And this could be a good entry point, and then we continue a journey from there. Let me drop the EMAs. Cool. So what do the EMAs tell us? So we have broken below the 21 EMA. We were rejected by the 8 and 13, and this is sort of really clear from the chart. So again, the next step of action would be for buying volume to come in here, and we break above the EMAs, right? And then we break above this horizontal level of 960. What level is this? 960, 950, 950 roughly. We break above it, come back, test it as support, break above this trend line, come back, test it as support, and then we continue on our journey upwards. In an ideal world, this would happen. Yep, so a couple of more areas of value that you should be tracking. Let me drop those on the chart. 1141 to 1155. Yep. Keep an eye on this area as well. This could be resistance if and when price tests this again. Yep. Really, really straightforward chart. Really, really easily tradable chart right here. Tata Chemicals. Let me move on to the last stock that I'll be chatting today, which is Tata Consumer Products Limited. And nope, I'm not going to read this out. Open secret, poor man can't afford. Cool. So if we look at Tata Consumer Products, there's this long-term trend line which has been active since June of 2020. and resistance, 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 support here, support here. We flipped it as a resistance and got rejected, right? And where have we bottomed out? At this horizontal area of support, which is like 670, 680 roughly. Yep, so 650, 670. So this region right here is an area of value, which we're staying above right now. And from an investment perspective, if you get confirmation, this could be a good place to enter. Or if further negative news filters into the market, you might get entries at these marked areas of value 650. And this looks like an area people would possibly be tracking, right? 594, 600, 590, so somewhere around here. Then this looks like a pretty obvious area of value as well. It was resistance in the past, back tested as support. So your market movers are probably going to be looking at this area as well. So 555 could be a good place to be entering the stock, right? And okay, yep, we're below the 55 right now. Tested the 8 weekly EMA and were rejected there. And whenever your shorter term EMAs are below your longer term EMAs, that's never a good sign, right? So you can see here, your 20 EMA is sort of 21, and that is above your 13 and 8, right? And this is sort of proof of recent negative sentiment in the market and a lot of selling pressure, and that's visible in the volume candles, right? So big red dildos right there. So again, if you lose the 55, it's never a good look, unless you're an investor who's looking to enter the price at the lowest possible, looking to enter the stock at the lowest possible price. So again, wait for confirmation of the daily candle, 4-hour candle, green candle here, enter the stock. If you're an investor, if you're a trader, wait for the price to flip and sort of, to trade above the EMAs, and also preferably above these trend lines. Any retest of an area of value and a sign of buying pressure is a good, time to enter the stock. So that's it from me. I hope this was useful. And yep, drop a subscribe, share this with your friends. Again, I know very few people watch these entire videos, right? And short-term pain for long-term gain. So hope this helps, and yep, happy trading.